there today. This is Jody Elmore, your Literacy Services Advocate here at the Literacy Services Department of the Barnesville Public Library, and we are really excited. We're always excited about all of our programs. We just finished a wonderful health series that we started this morning, and now we are doing the very first session of our Homestead Cooking and Natural Living presentation. We are so excited about this brand new series. This is our Spring 22 series here in Health Services, and we're so excited to always be giving you new and natural ideas, ways to maintain your health. Earlier today, we did a series that we're going to be doing on the aging body, just telling people how to take care of themselves, all different parts of their body, what to look for, and to add to your health, so that you can make sure that you remain healthy. Here in Oklahoma, and here in the United States, health literacy is a very important part of what we are doing. And I'm looking over some of your hands a little bit, because guess what we have today? We have a live audience, and we are so excited. Can you hear them? And standing right behind me is this lovely new lady. Her name is Tzeitel, and she is the president. I'm going to pull up my little notes because I don't want to miss any of the exciting things about her. She is president for Washington County of the National Ladies Homestead Gathering. What in the world is that? She's going to teach us about companion planning and permaculture, which is a big, broad way of saying personal sustainability and natural living. How to do this out on the land. It's a DIY course. Do it yourself. Let me tell you a little bit about Miss Tzeitel. This lady is educated. We just get the most wonderful, educated, and share-worthy presenters here in our department. I see Miss Susan Miller back here, who does our cooking class and has been one of our wonderful cooks for over 3 years. And we know so many of you, especially out there in Facebook land, are just clamoring to see her show all of the time. By the way, I'm really bundled up today because it's cold in Bartlesville. If anybody is not in Bartlesville, maybe you're warm, but we're not, so we're just wearing our coats even indoors. But anyway, Tzeitel has a degree in sociology, psychology, and religion. And she carries an MBA, a Master's in Business Administration. So why in the world is this lady living off the land? We're going to find out. So without further ado, I want to introduce to you our brand new presenter for Homestead Cooking and Natural Living, Tzeitel Buchanan.
Thank you, Jeremy. One, I'm going to say I am excited and I'm nervous. So I'm going to go with I'm nervited. So my own little word here, I'm a little nervited, so bear with me. As Joni just alluded to, my husband and I, we own Hog Shooter Homestead, and our pitch line is where we do home instead. And why do we do home instead? Well, it's living more organically, and not only organically, it's also with less preservatives. It's living in a way where we control what is coming into our body from a natural perspective. It also means we have less reliability on having to go to the grocery store for everything, which means, again, I'm mitigating anything other that could be processed for us. The second thing, the biggest part, is it saves a ton of money. So if you, any kind of gardening that you do, it will save you a ton of money. When you have to go buy one of these for $1.10 a pound, and you can go pick this up out of your garden, and you pay maybe $1.10 for the seeds, this is, growing your own garden is the best. Not only is it nutritious, but it feeds your body and your pocketbook back, all right? So, the quick and dirty is that I grew up on a farm, but I moved to the city, and when I moved back to a farm, my grandparents had been a functioning dairy farm when I was a kid, moved to be a cattle farm. My grandfather was lived off the land. So that's really where I learned all of my stuff, was from my grandmother sitting at her feet, learning how to snap green beans, how to can, and things like that. So you fast forward, COVID made a big impact to us. When you go to the grocery store and there's no food, or there's no quality food, there's no food there to pick up. So this really helped push us to be more self-sufficient. The story behind what we're going to be doing today is called the Three Sisters Soup. The Three Sisters Soup is a Native American story about three sisters. And the main ingredients of the Three Sisters Soup is corn, beans, and squash. And as sisters, we nurture, we care, we grow together, we protect, we serve. All those things that are part of a relationship is how the three sisters work together. So, corn elevates and allows for mining of any beans. It also protects what's underneath, meaning from a squash perspective, that squash also helps retain water. It keeps the beans and the corn from drying out. It preserves water, and because it's got little pricklies, it also deters bugs. So when you put that together, it really is true companion planting and permaculture environment. So when we start talking about companion planting and permaculture, it's not farming in straight lines. It's really about how do you put things together and that they grow and nurture together like the three sisters. So when you say, hey, how do I bring in things that have nitrogen? How do I bring things that give additional water? That is really how that companion planting comes together. So, well, we will jump right into the Three Sisters Soup. I have the ingredients up here, and we'll start going through it here in just a moment. One of the first things that is probably the longest part of the Three Sisters Soup is the squash. So squash right here, this is a butternut squash. There's all different varieties of squash out there. So if you have, this is a sweeter squash. You can actually use pumpkin. Pumpkin is also part of the squash family. It has a different flavor. This is a sweeter. You can do acorn squash. There's probably a variety of hybrids out there as well. I pick butternut squash because one, if you want to talk aesthetically, it's got a beautiful top of orange. It is absolutely gorgeous. And if you like a little spice, and we'll actually cover some spice for a little jalapeno, that it gives it a nice contrast where you have a little bit of sweet and you have a little bit of spicy. This is my favorite. So with the squash, because it takes a little bit of time to cook. Now I also will say is you can go to the frozen food section at Walmart or Aldi's and you can get it in a bag of frozen fresh squash. But I'm going to tell you, I'm all holistic, which is go buy it from your farmer's market, grow it in your garden, and if you grow it in your garden, it didn't cost you anything except sweat equity. And that's the whole thing about what you put into it is what you're going to get out of it. So here is the squash. And what I do is I cut the end off because it makes it harder to get to the end. We'll see why in just a second. But as I've shown you, look how beautiful that color is. Isn't that just amazing? It's absolutely gorgeous. The other thing is what we're talking about, as I go through this cleaning process, none of this will go to waste. This will not go into the trash. This does not go into trash. This will actually go into my compost, which means I'm going to feed it to my garden later. Or if I didn't feed it to my garden, I can feed this to my cows, chickens, pigs. This is going to be reused, right? So we never throw anything away that's biodegradable like this. So. This knife is not near as sharp as I thought it would be, so we're going to see if I can actually slice through this without. Looky there, I did it, and I didn't cut any appendages off, so I'm really excited. All right, so this is the beauty of it in the inside. This is the other thing that we're going to do. You see all these beautiful seeds. I'm going to keep them. I'm going to rinse them. I'm going to dry them. And I'm going going to use them potentially in my garden, or I'm going to seed swap with someone else. So this is again another opportunity for a reuse and save you money from buying seeds. So we will clean these out. Run the seed. And I know it's a little bit different, so like when you see a pumpkin, you open it up and it has a big crevice in it. This is what's interesting about the squash. It only has a little tiny crevice at the end. If you open up the acorn squash, it has a big opening in it. This is just one of those that are different. If you look at spaghetti squash, again, it's like a cantaloupe. So this one is just a little bit different and I'm sure there's a science on why it does the way it does, but I do not know. So. Just keep on cleaning that out. Clean it out. And here's another thing, is I have never, you can do pumpkin seed, but you could also probably do squash seed as well. So you could actually probably take your seeds and actually put them in your stove and dry them out and use them for snacks for later, like pumpkin seeds. The same thing with you might add just a little bit of salt and pepper or whatever you're plain. But then again, everything in here is edible and you can use it for something else other than my garden or my compost or anything like that. So what I'm going to do is basically just stick this on the tray. I'll do it again for the second side. All right. And what we're going to do, it's all off my fingers here, is we're going to pop this in the oven. I'm going to put this in the oven for, depending, and this is what I say, it's kind of like a baked potato. You know, if you have a really small potato, you might only put it in the oven for 30 minutes. If you have a big baked potato, you may have to put it in there for an hour. This one right here, I probably would do it for probably 40 minutes, and then poke it like I would a potato and see if it was soft. If it wasn't soft, then I would probably go another 10 or 15 minutes. I treat it just like a potato into seeing if it's got, you know, flex, like the fork goes in. And, oh, sorry, let me bring this over here so you can see this. That once you poke it, that it's soft and you can see that it's good to go. I put mine at 450. Now here's what I'm going to also tell you. Every stove is different, and mine, this will be a new learning moment over here because I work with gas. So I'm sure there's people, you know that it can be temperamental. So that's what I use. Okay. So I don't do anything else. I leave it just as it is, stick it in the oven for the 40 minutes, and be done with it. Okay. And of course, for an essence of time, I cooked some already, and we'll cover that in just a second, so that you don't have to watch fast forward that the squash being cooked. So the second thing, let me wash my hands real quick. We're going to go ahead and prep. The Three Sister soup typically is a vegetarian soup, but not everybody that meets their nutritional needs. So you can add other beef, pork, chicken. We're going to use chicken, and that adds additional protein value to it. You also are going to get some protein from your corn. You're going to get carbohydrates. You're going to get a very well blended nutrition within these items. Okay. And then also within these items is that, again, we are going to try to stay away from anything that I have to take out of a jar, but you're going to get flavor from your garlic, your onions, your jalapenos. That's going to give it its flavor. Bay leaves and also thyme. So all of these things that you can grow in your garden, if you were to have a garden or a herb garden, all these things right there. So let's see if I can actually do all of it. So as that The chicken is already, these are breast strips. I'm going to dice them up for basically bite-sized consumption. And the same thing, we'll do the same thing with, I'm just seeing the recipe that says, 2 to 3, I'm probably went over a little bit on the oil, but that's what it's going to be used, is to do the sauteing of our meat and our onions and our kind of our ingredients, because you'll want that to attach to the meat before we put it into the stock pot. Okay. So, super simple. On chicken, you can do this a variety of ways. This is obviously was a super simple way, which was to just take this boneless skinless chicken. But I'll tell you is, if you have turkey, you have other, and you baked it, you boiled it, you broiled it, you grilled it on the grill. If you've got leftovers, this is another great way of just reusing what you have left over and taking it and putting it into, chunking it up and reusing it in your soup. So all I'm going to do here, guys, is just cut these into super smaller, bite-sized chunks. So had anyone ever heard of Three Sisters soup before? Have you ever heard of this story? Okay. One of the things we were talking about earlier with the Three Sisters soup, or the Three Sisters story, is that all the different, some of the tribes have different stories. So even if it's a Native American story, but they may have a different layer to it. But it still all is a derivative of the picking and planting and putting those things together to provide longevity. You'll also find in permaculture is, you can put things together from a vegetable perspective. But one of the other things that permaculture, which is another, just a different science, is putting things together, like if you do free-range chickens with your fruit. Like if you had fruit trees, you could put your chickens out there and they would help fertilize, they would clean out bugs, and provide support to your trees. That is also part of permaculture. So it's taking those things that can live together in a harmonious way and provide significant benefits to you. All right, we're getting there. We're also going to find out right now if I have to set right. Oh, yes, it is. And all I'm doing is breaking this up so the meat doesn't stick together. Not that that would be bad, but you might just have a bigger bite-sized chicken in your mouth. I'm going to let that continue to cook, and we'll continue to add this in. And what I'll also say, sorry, but yeah, I would do the exact same thing. Is if it was ground chicken, I would treat it exactly the same way. I'm going to tell you, you could do this with sausage. You can do it with ham. You can use pretty much any meat that you so choose for it. And I look at it, if you have dietary restrictions, that you can do this vegetarian, vegan, and then, you need more protein. Or if you're like my husband, he's a meat and potato. Just as a side note, my husband is a Homestead Do not cross-contaminate your food. So if you use the meat, chicken, do not put your vegetables on top of raw meat. All right, I'm assuming that's probably it. Everybody knows that, but I'll just reinforce quality assurance on that. Red onion, you can do red onion, but white onion is in the recipe. I know that we all have different flavors or things that are our number ones, but you could use yellow onion as well. Okay, we're going to actually use a full onion. And again, this will go to compost or for recycling to cows, chickens, or pigs. So again, nothing that's thrown away that can be reused. All we're going to do now is we're just going to dice up the onions and we're going to throw them in with the chicken. What would be some other things you would think about adding to a soup? Celery, carrots. I think that you can take and make this really whatever you want it to be to get additional, nutritional value. So if you needed, obviously carrots are great for you. Celery is a good filler as well. You could actually, if you didn't want a meat, you could also look at rice. So all of those things give you different options and different nutrition. So this is another way too you can kind of play with kind of what you put together. So like I know I like red onions, but this white onion is, you can also maybe do some differences in, you might add in bell peppers. So I just look at it as this is nothing really set in stone, but you can really make it what you want it to be. So we're going to actually now that I've turned this way up, or turn it down. I think we're on the right track there with this. So, you guys have any questions so far? How am I doing? Am I doing okay?
Tell us the name of the instrument that it looked like kitchen scissors, but was it a meat cutter?
These are just meat scissors. A lot of times they'll come in your, when you buy a nice set of steak knives or nice, this is meat scissors. There's other, you can find them probably through IMLS and other groups like that, but again, this is not an expensive thing, but I will tell you it's a saver and I'll tell you too, this is another really good way. So if you want your kids to help you in the kitchen and learn about how to cook, which is, this is the foundation of how they're going to learn to cook for their life, is have them get in the kitchen with you. Hand them these scissors. You're not going to worry about them cutting a hand. Hand them a piece of pork or whatever and have them snip that for you. And now they're participating. They're learning nutrition. They're learning the value of cooking principles. Okay? So this is just another really great way to make this maybe more family-centric. Not only if it's just for you, but for your kids as well. So highly recommend as another safety way of getting everybody involved. And I will tell you, I have 4 boys, and so having 2 are fully grown and live away, but I have one at home who wants to help all the time. And since he was 2 years old, I help. Of course, he's like, bake some pancakes or whatever, but I really am trying to get the boys to be self-sufficient and pick good nutritional decisions on their food and not think that ramen noodle is a staple, right? Because that's what they know how to do, right? That's the things that they're like, oh, microwave, here we go. And so we start talking about what we put in our bodies, and this right here, you can't go wrong. And this is another thing too, that if you had a large batch of this, it's really good for reheat. It's not like, sometimes there's things that doesn't taste good. It doesn't taste good the second time around, or doesn't feel near as yummy. This is a super easy one that tastes good even warmed up. All right, we're going to continue to let that go. this is garlic. I'm actually going to saute the garlic in there together. And what I also, I'm going to show you both ways. But I'm going to tell you my garlic press is my best friend. In pressing it out, it actually saves me a little more time. It's also different is if you are wanting more garlic to be in larger pieces, you can obviously knife cut those. But for me, my garlic press is my best friend. And there's a variety, you can get them at Walmart or whatever, but this helps press your garlic through and it removes all the skin. So. And again, what I have in here is not going to go to the trash. We're going to reuse this as well. And since these are little small pods, I can actually get a couple in there at the same time. So I did 3 of those, but I'm going to also show you, and this, I'm assuming you probably know this as well. I'm actually just going to this side here for you. Is, normal garlic, your head of garlic this way, is to break that down without like trying to crunch it. I think Susan probably showed this in her class as well, is to take your knife and there it goes. So now you've given it a good whack, you've broken it all up, and now you have all these pods available, or garlic pods for you. Another thing too, by the way, is if your garlic is coming to the end of its life, sometimes it will sprout. Guess what? You put that on the ground. So just telling you, it's just like a lot of onions. If your onions aren't molded and they're not degraded and they start to sprout, it can be your new plant. Your new vegetable in your garden. So as I know a lot of people are like, oh, it's growing, I don't want to use it. It's the same way about potatoes and the potato heads. That's your next garden, and then you didn't have any investment in it except your sweat equity. So now you're able to reuse it and give it another whole life. Okay. All right, I'm going to continue to let that cook. Now, here is what the squash looks like after it has cooked. And obviously it's not normally this wrinkled, but it's been, I pulled it out of the refrigerator here. And with this, couple different sizes of squash, but they're all the same in there. What I'm going to just do is I'm just going to trim the skin off. And again, what I'll do is every bit of this will get recycled. It will have a new life. And there's other ways that you can also prep your squash. You could dice it. So you could take all of the skin off and then dice it while it's kind of raw. But if you guys saw how hard that was, your sweat equity into doing that work, not only that, your arms are going to be tired. I mean, it's going to be, it's a work in action, right? So this is, to me, is it may take a little bit longer, but I am not going to be thinking I had a major workout from trying to cut it up. This is almost like filleting a fish. And you'll want to get as much meat off of it without compromising it. Any questions so far? Onions, yes, you know what I'm saying, that you can't go wrong with onions and garlic. Those are everything that makes sure have this effervescent, yummy goodness in there. What I'm going to go ahead and do too is I'm going to go ahead, since that is almost done cooking, we're going to go ahead and get the stock ready. The nice thing about having everything else is we prepare, everything will go in, cook for, and marinate for some period of time, and you're ready for food. So, one of the things that's nice about, I'll say homestead living and natural living life is, a lot of our prep has already been pre-done. I mean, canning all year round and preparing those foods that make it accessible. Just like I went to the grocery store, all the grocery stores now to my closet, and I'm pulling out things that have already been prepared with no process, nothing. There's no red dye number 3 or red or anything. Everything is organic and it's been preserved organically. And those preservatives and those things are the same way our ancestors, or I'll say my grandmother, had taught me. There's an exact science behind it all. From pH value, what you can use for vinegar, what has to be, that can be used for water bathing, or it has to go through a canning system to bring it to a higher boiling value. So, but it's nice. I can go directly to either the freezer or to the cupboard and pull out those things as needed. I do a lot of things too to kind of prepare for success. So like pumpkin puree or squash puree, having that already in the freezer in chunks. That, all the work I'm doing right here, I would have spent the day getting that all prepared and being ready to go to use it, in the future. And all I've done here is basically, again, just remove the skin and put this in bite-sized chunks for consumption. Does anybody have a favorite squash? Butternut's your favorite? Yellow.
What color buttercup I like?
Buttercup color is it?
It's green and also I thought kombucha or something.
Yeah, that's the name of it. Yeah.
It's kind of like a little red.
This is going to come up to a boil here in just a second, but we're going to go ahead and we're going to go ahead and get everything else prepped for this soup. Part of the ingredients is 1 bay leaf. Probably don't want to eat it, but leave it in there as it cooks. So 1 bay leaf. I know Susan, I think, brought this up maybe for rosemary or thyme in her cooking class last week, but thyme is wonderful, but you don't want to just chop it up and throw it in because the stems are hardy. So it's almost like eating a little stick. So unless you want to do that, you can just kind of peel off the thyme, where you can put that in there and not have to. You can also obviously buy thyme in a pre-packaged, but I would highly recommend buying this or growing this in your garden, because thyme and dill and oregano, all of those are so super easy, and they're pretty resistant. So it's not like, oh, I'm gonna have to water this and baby it, give it all these things. It's very resistant. So think about it from a historical perspective, how it was found in the wild to begin with. It had to be pretty hardy for someone to realize it was worth anything, right? So this I think is about 2 tablespoons 2 teaspoons of thyme. But this is the part that takes the longest is prep. I'm gonna tell you right now, this smells so good. Can you guys smell? And this thyme right now is the smell is just amazing. so, so amazing. And this is gonna give it such a great flavor. Anybody garden? Does anybody do any garden? So are you starting to think about what you're gonna put in the garden for next year, or this year? You know, here is, one of the things that people do not think about is these are such hardy things. I will tell you, and I think you said the same thing in your last class, was that lettuce, it's grass. You will go out there and you just give it a cut, and it's coming right back, and it has stayed through the winter. Like, you're surprised, and you're out there and you're like, okay, the rest of the grass is green, but the lettuce is still green. I mean, it's brown, the grass, the lettuce is green, and it can still be used in the city. So it's just amazing how hardy some of those vegetables can be. All right, this is still coming up to a boil. I'm going to go ahead and move over the meat. Start marinating in now. The other thing about this one is it's giving me a conversation that's telling me that the burner is hot, so that I can put that back down. It tells you, it costs you. I live off of cast iron, and it is one of the easiest things. I think a lot of people avoid cast iron, but it is, if you clean it and oil it, it is your best friend, and from an investment perspective, it will be with, I mean, I have my grandmothers, it will be with you forever, so. We'll continue to let that cook, and I'm going to continue to add in some more yummy goodness. This may have been an easy, maybe a potato filler to it. It might have been another quick way to do it, and another way if you wanted your children in the kitchen to help you, instead of using a knife, helping them peel away the skin by using a potato filler to remove off this skin. We are getting so close, guys. I don't know if you guys can still smell that. Lord, it smells so yummy. And it's 17 degrees, so if you're not in Oklahoma right now, it was 17 degrees this morning. And Mother Nature has been extremely bipolar in her weather conditions. Because we were 70, a week ago, so you never know. The only thing that's predictable for Oklahoma weather is change. So again, I don't know if you can see this on the screen here, but look how beautiful this color is. And we're going to jazz it up further. I can't wait to the next colors that you guys are going to see in the soup. You're going to go, man, this is a color spectrum. The next thing I'm going to put in here is some black beans. You can use any kind of black bean, or any bean. You can use a lima bean. You can use a green bean. You can use any kind of white bean. The other thing too is that I'm using a can If in a normal environment, I probably would have said, hey, soak your beans, treat it, cook them. You can cook it all together and have a dry, use it from a dry bean. The only thing you have to change out is your salt content from how long you have to cook it with your beans with salt. But what I've done here is black beans are my favorite. A lot of times we have that right in your kitchen accessibility. What I am going to do is I am not going to dump this into my soup because it has all of that black filling on it. So what I do is I'm actually going to strain it. So I'm going to get all of that juice off. I'm going to give it a rinse. And this will now give you another brand new color to your soup. And look at that. You see that color right there? Another whole color is now in there. Yes, my meat and potato husband will eat this. Okay. And I will tell you, if you put a jalapeno on it, he will eat it all day long, jalapeno in it. So,
Was that vegetable stock or chicken?
oh, I'm sorry. The instructions say a vegetable stock, but since I was using chicken, I added a chicken stock to it, okay? The other thing here too is, from a dietary perspective, obviously, you put salt in here, salt and pepper to taste. I leave that up. I'll put some in here, but your dietary restrictions, your nutrition, you know what level you should have, right? So just be conscious about those things. But what I'll say is when you start adding in jalapeno or some green onion, when you garnish this, it's going to give it another flavor, and you may not need that extra salt taste in there, okay? And then we have one more add-in. I may have made a little mess on the floor. This is also another thing is with corn. Frozen corn. I think you like canned corn, but I'm going to tell you, this is a better root out here. It's not sitting in preservatives. So, fresh corn, and I'm sure you guys know when you use fresh corn, it has such a different flavor than your proper canned corn. The other thing too is for us on the farm is during corn season, I will go ahead and prep it for the corn for freezer. So I'll freeze it in corn cobs, or I will pull it off the cob itself. Corn is one of those where you can't can directly. It has to have to be pressure cooked. So try to make my life easier, which is if it can be frozen, then I'm going to freeze it instead if it doesn't require a whole lot on a pressure cooker. So this is another thing for this as well, is if you want it to have more fluid, you can add in another whole thing of chicken stock. This recipe does call for 2, but what I realized is if you want something heartier and you don't want as much juice, then it's nice to have it a reduced fluid level in there, okay? If you were going to add in a rice, if you were to say, okay, we're going to use this with rice, obviously having the second one is going to be necessary because it's going to take sort of all that fluid, okay? We'll just let that continue to do its thing. So I'm going to get some of my messes over here. And now we're going to talk about garnishing. So here is going to be the yummy goodness that you can layer in. The other thing, since I am being conscious of other people's dietary, I would have cooked this with a whole jalapeno in it. this is really, for me, I'm gonna go ahead, I'm gonna neuter it, which means I'm going to remove the seeds, just to be friendly to what could be potentially hot, right? So I would normally tell you also to wear gloves if you were to do this, because it can actually burn your skin. Especially if it's super, super hot, that pepper oil can burn your skin. Plus, not to mention, if you need to wash your hands very well afterwards, because you may not rubbing your nose, you could end up, especially this will burn. So I'm just words of wisdom. And so after this, I do have, I'll show you what we got is what the finish over here looks like. And you can do, you can serve this with some French bread. One of the things that I have come to really, really love is everything, like the everything bagel, that all that a little additional yummy on top is a great dipper with your soup. So I'll throw in some salt and pepper, and we will be, it's ready to go with the garnish. And I'm going to show you, one of the other things that you might need to consider is when you do this garnish, I'm using a green onion. You could put this in a food processor or, where you can grind it up where it's super smaller. And you can do a white onion. You may even consider maybe throwing in a little cilantro as well to give it a different flavor to it. And look at that, how it is so pretty. And this is turning out really, really well. But the color is amazing. Now, here's what I'm going to go ahead and turn this off. And what you can see the difference. This is prepared. I prepared this last night. This is the exact same soup, but as you can see, the color has changed a little bit because the black beans have soaked up in the water and it's given it a totally different color. So this is the same. These are exactly the same soup, but this is just what it looks like from a different over having settings per se. So all I would do from here is prep your bowl, scoop that up, put a little garnish on the top with whatever heat or whatever onion you might want, and you are good to go.
Tzeitel, we have loved this presentation today. My goodness, I cannot wait to taste this, and some of the people that are here are going to be able to taste it for real. And I think Tzeitel is also preparing some bread for us.
Yes.
These are some, talk about this for just a moment.
Okay.
We've got about 5 minutes.
Okay.
These are some of the things that Tzeitel has canned, and she's going to talk to us about how we take the,
Sorry, can't see this.
can you not see me?
Only when we do close-ups.
Okay. Okay.
So, we are going to take some of the original items that she has canned, and we're going to show you how Well, she's going to do it. I don't know how to do it. But she's going to show you how to use all of that goodness that she's working with, how to can it, and we're going to show you how to cook and can, and even cook and make soap. So it's a total start to finish kind of permaculture idea, and we don't know that much about it, but she does. So tell us a little bit about these things that you have canned.
Okay. Again, when we were talking earlier about, so for a family of 4, the national average for the state of Oklahoma is about a $200, $175 to $200 a week is the grocery bill. For canning, is I pre-plan all year round for spaghetti sauce and salsa and things like that for our family consumption. And our grocery bill is about $75 a week. So everything in here is organic, meaning that there is nothing in here that is processed. It literally is, this is tomatoes with garlic and oregano and basil, and it is sitting in a white wine vinegar and a cooking white wine. This is called, it's a bruschetta in a jar. This is great for just draining, and you can put a little balsamic vinegar, put it on crackers. You can actually take this and dump it in your spaghetti sauce. Same things here, salsa. This is peppers, onions, jalapenos, tomatoes, cilantro, salt and pepper. Again, just cooked down, canned. Same thing, one of our favorites, it's actually one of Joey's husband's favorites as well, is the pickles. So pickle perspective, I don't know if everybody can see fine. This is, do these in spheres, we do these in all different kinds of your variety that you would buy at the grocery store. But my favorite, and Mr. Mann's favorite, is the jalapeno pickles. Jalapeno pickles are great. So super easy, super delicious. Same thing if you're going to make tuna salad, you just pull these right out, just like the same with pickle relish, you got it right here, we're doing it. So these are jellies. It is simple. Jellies are different. There's jam, jelly, there's different varieties. So this is the whole pulp, meaning this is the entire fruit is in there, and it's got sugar. It has, either a lemon or citrus or something to make things effective for a pH value. But this is all organic and good for your body, or within wisdom of consumption. But there is no preservatives. This is the color. There's nothing in here that is, you're going to have to wonder what the label says.
So we're going to invite you back for more information about canning at a different time. And I want to mention some of the upcoming presentations that Tzeitel will be making. The many phases of squash will be in February, showing the different types of squash and demonstrating how to prepare them. So if you're a squash lover, you want to come in February, and she'll be giving a few hard healthy tips as well. In March, we're having March Mania. I think healthy uses of cabbage is going to be interesting. A lot of people think, cabbage, that stinks, No, it's very, very healthy. And she's got a lot of different ways she's going to show us how to do that. In April, we have pumpkin possibilities. My goodness, I think she's going to show us how to make soap out of pumpkin. That's going to be interesting, isn't it? And in May, tempting tomato tips, growing, eating, and canning your favorite garden variety of tomatoes. Do we ever have a wonderful lineup for this season coming here right now in 2022? Now, those of you who are on camera are just going to get to imagine what it's like for us to eat the Three Sisters soup. We're so sorry. But we're also going to have some bread and some of your very fresh plum jam. We're going to open that up, and you're going to get an opportunity to taste that. So we are just so thankful that you were here today. We love bringing you wonderful tips to stay healthy, learning how to cook, making life better for you and your family. This is the Health Sciences and Literacy Services Department of the Bartlesville Public Library, and we thank the Institute of Museum and Library Services, the Oklahoma Department of Libraries, and of course, your Bartlesville Public Library for making this show available to you. We will see you February the 2nd, I believe that is Tuesday, for Susan Miller's show, Big Kitchen with Susan. And then we will be back here on the 3rd Thursday of every month with Tzeitel Buchanan, with Homestead Cooking and Natural Living. Thank you all for coming. Thank you for viewing our show. We will see you next time. Bye-bye.